Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Christmas special for Azureish Live as part of the festive tech calendar. Joining me, Liam Gulliver, as always, are my long-suffering friends and co-hosts, Pete Gallagher and Jonathan Rolfe.
Hello.
So, chaps, we've had a request from a very special customer, mate. No, it feels like the wrong word. But
Client,
the big man himself,
indeed.
Santa Claus, has dropped us a line. Because at the moment, all his elves are self-isolating, and he needs a little bit of help with his mailroom and digitizing it for the future. So he's come to us.
One could almost call it elf isolation.
Can we kick him? Is it possible?
Yeah.
And that's the end of the show, folks. So thanks for watching.
We could just now replace John with that Picard meme.
So yeah, a double facepalm.
Yeah.
But exactly. We've all seen the movies where thousands of letters fall down the chimney, and that's clearly a labor-intensive method of trying to keep up with the ever-growing population of children that have and adults who send letters to Santa at Christmas. So yeah, we're going to try and see if we can digitize his mailroom.
And he's helped, and some of our audience have helped by sending us some letters ready to hand over to him through his new digitized mailroom. Now we've had some chats around this as well ahead of the show, just to sort of kind of figure out how we'd maybe go about it. But I think that the thing for us to really start with is building upon those conversations. So the where we started was maybe the right thing to do here is to take those letters, read them in, and get the text out onto the screen, because then Santa will be able to do all the stuff that he needs to do with it, and build his lists for the elves to build toys and so on. And some of our audience have been really helpful already because we put a call out for the folks to send those letters to us, and so we're going to feature some of those on the show tonight as well. So with that in mind, shall we doodle a thing on a whiteboard?
Let's doodle a thing on a Microsoft whiteboard. Why
not? So
you start, Will, drawing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking.
Well, we know what the star of the show is going to involve, isn't it? The difficult bit of anything is the image recognition.
Yeah, especially like kids' handwriting as well. It's not the best. To be fair, neither's mine really, but it's probably a good starting point is to do those bits and pieces through OCR and see. I guess we could use like computer vision in cognitive services and see how that goes. I don't think we need to train a model for that though, do we? Either.
Nope. That's the beauty of the cognitive services suite of products is that's all done for you, unless you want to do something really complicated. Then you can just call into an API endpoint and it'll just return you the result and you pay your money.
Yeah, you can stand on the shoulder of giants and not have to do it for you. So it's a very good method.
Yep. Yeah, it's fantastic set of services, that is.
Now, Santa as well is somebody who's fairly cost conscious. He only works 1 month a year, so I imagine his earnings aren't great. But thankfully, between Santa and Microsoft, they have a special agreement. But we still want to try and keep those costs down to be a good citizen. So, do we aim to try and keep this as serverless as possible as well?
Yeah, I think based on the other content that we'd be doing in Azureish Live, the sort of more functions and serverless web hosting is something that's lighter weight as well to deliver. So let's try that.
Yeah, so use somebody else's computer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I imagine the cooling in the North Pole is probably
probably
pretty good.
That's a good one.
So the I guess something to think about is if we are going to use computer vision, cost could be a factor. That might actually be the most expensive component, because if we're saying let's look at let's actually write some of this stuff down as well rather than just talking about it. So let me pull that cable and try not to pull everything off the desk. Have I got shape drawings not to shape on? Yes, we have. Okay. So if we're saying somewhere over here, let's do that. We've got computer vision. And so we're going to need to do two things, right? So I guess we're going to need to have something that pushes the letters over to computer vision, and then something that handles the response. So we've got what? We've got our, let's just draw that over here. Why is that not a box?
Terrible drawing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong, Pete.
Yeah, it's like a rhombus. Although it'll recognize a rhombus as well. But I mean, this is going to be an Azure function at the end of the day, isn't it? That we're gonna be dealing with. We don't want this to happen or be dealt with directly in whatever front end that we're dealing with, because I think obviously we're going to be visualizing this in something like a Blazor app, but we don't want that to be sort of dealt with directly. Oh, look at that! He's got an actual.
It's getting cloudy in this whiteboard.
Yeah,
Getting cloudy.
So yeah, if we do that in an Azure function and let that deal with it, and we can deliver files to that Azure function from the front end, and then have the whole process just return something to us at some point with the result, that'd be nice to have it all async.
Yeah, so I guess I mean we're probably going to want to hang on to some of that data as well. So we probably want to upload it to a storage account, and then we can use something like a blob trigger to send the request off to computer vision.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So we do that. And then we have some form of blob trigger. Actually, no, that doesn't feel right. I think we're missing a step there. So let's go back a little bit. Let's take it a step back.
Probably you're going to need two functions to run.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking, because this upload letter, if we're going from
right, yeah, that should be
point of view,
pointing to the storage account, shouldn't it?
Yeah. So we want that to go to our there we go, our very square storage account.
It should be cylindrical, surely.
And then we have a blob trigger from there on another function.
Yep.
Blob trigger to extract the text, maybe.
Yep. Sounds like the next logical step.
Text. So that's going to be the thing that triggers this function, and that function ultimately makes the call out to computer vision, and handles it going back.
Yeah.
So maybe because I think it comes back as JSON off the top of my head.
The documentation up now, and you get bounding boxes and text, and a big blob of JSON as a result.
Okay. So let's go with that, and then that can probably stash that output for now in a storage account.
Yeah, let's do that,
because
then at least we can refer back to it.
Yeah, because I think from reading the docs as well, and a little bit of an assumption here is that we're firing an image of fairly difficult to read text at an API. Ultimately, I feel like that time to come back might be a little bit long. So let's just stash that result in the storage account, and then we can handle it later, maybe even off of other blob triggers or whatever we need to do. To then do that. But ultimately, I guess that's the that's the basics. So we've got this. Maybe want some kind of front end to do that file thing. We could probably do that with a terrible drawing. Jeez.
Well, I mean, obviously, whoever's going to be interfacing to this, be it an elf or Santa himself,
Won't be drawing as badly as I am. Like I've done it again. So like this time, it's not even turned it into a box.
he's going to need to see what
This
gets
is the swipe
uploaded.
card thing all over again. Yes, you're right. Sorry, yeah, you'd be able to see what's uploaded and have an interface for that user, right, to upload things in the first place. We're not going to expect them to go to a storage account and go, here you go, or open Postman and post it to a function app, right?
Yeah, make it nice and easy.
Do you want to do? I mean, it's fair to say none of the three of us are front end devs, so all these fancy new JavaScript frameworks like React and stuff probably not our bag. So we could use Blazor maybe.
Yep.
And do it standalone
Well,
WebAssembly.
we've been doing that already, haven't we? So we kind
Yeah.
of. And are we still happy with like a statically hosted Blazor WASM app, or do we need server or what?
Well, we've not got anything that needs to run for a long time in it, has it? If we're doing everything else serverless, we can just whack it in a storage account, and
it's effectively stateless because we're using the storage account as the data store, aren't we? So
yeah. How do you get the results of this extract text box and storage account back down to the Blazor app in that particular circumstance?
I guess if you've got a few options, like how instantaneous do you want it, or it could be like fire and forget. I guess you've got things like how we do with the Git Watcher, which you should see at the bottom of the screen now because it's finished. Where we're using SignalR to do that kind of UI updating, but I guess for now that's not really our main output, right? For now, let's focus on getting the upload in there and extracting some of the text out of computer vision in cognitive services, because otherwise I think we're probably gonna plan too much for right now, and let's focus on one thing at a time. Ultimately, I think we know we're gonna make a HTTP request that's gonna post a file up. That'll put something in a storage account, which will send off. We'll put something on like the storage queue if it uses the blob trigger, I think, to do another effectively HTTP request to get a response back to store that in the storage account, and then we go from there. So I feel like the right thing to do is for us to focus right now on maybe let's do extract text to start with
it's a good place to start
to go from there, because we can put something in the storage account by hand for now, can't we?
Yeah, sometimes making those sorts of, at least having an idea drives decision making along the route, though, doesn't it? So that's the only reason why I brought it up. But
yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, for now, for an MVP approach, do we just get a list of like the last 5 letters back with an image and then the text out?
Yeah, well, just to prove that the concept works, a proof of concept type approach for that. Yeah, you're right. Probably we can't plan too much, but there could be decisions that we make at this point that.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's Christmas in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so we've not got a lot of time.
Not got long now.
No. Already got an influx of letters that he can't do anything with because the
deadline needs to do some agile engineering.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I guess let's go create a cognitive services account if we're happy with this rough idea.
Yep. Well, we know we're going to need that no matter what, so let's start there.
Yeah, let's go with that. Okay. Also, look at this fantastic dark theme in GitHub now. So we created a repo earlier. It's got literally nothing in it right now. It's just got a git ignore for us and a README file. But let's go and have a look at Azure. So first things first, we need to create a new resource group. And look, there's our Git Watcher. So let's zoom in a little bit as well, so people can see that a bit better on the stream. Add, that's what I wanted. Again, we could do this all in command line, but I think for the purpose of the stream, I want to do it in the portal for folks, so we can see this from a point of view of this is what's this is what's happening.
Yep.
Just so that Jonathan and Pete can see what I'm doing, I'm just going to screen share to them both as well, so they don't have to go to the stream to see this, because then it's delayed. But let me have a look at that.
Tar. I think there's some really exciting stuff in cognitive services. I mean, I've done some. The text to speech stuff is pretty powerful, and some of the natural voices that are in there now are pretty amazing. In fact, I think that's probably what's driving the read aloud feature in Edge, which is superbly useful at times for reading blogs, and a great demonstration of how powerful and that service is. But even some of the stuff that I do in work involving text to speech, I've been looking at it as a alternative, and it's pretty amazing stuff. So there's quite a lot of interesting services other than, I mean, we're just picking on computer vision for this episode, but but I think we'd like to delve a bit more into it, because it seems to be evolving at a pace of knots at the moment.
I mean, there's loads, isn't there? You know, there's all the audio processing stuff. There's something I was reading about the image processing when we were originally talking about this, and you know, you can go through a bunch of filters. Was it filters? I don't think that's the right word. But you can go through a bunch of stuff and say and chuck content at it and say, I want to block or red flag any adult content, that kind of stuff as well.
On the fly kind of processing as well for streaming. And to touch a bit into Pete's IoT world, is that the preview stuff that I found about image processing of live camera streams to do people monitoring and actually tracking people around stores and checking who's going where. It's just, there's some really clever people working on that at the moment.
I think there is. I think that opens up some interesting conversations as well, right?
Oh, what's he got?
What's he showing?
That's a little Raspberry Pi Zero W. It's a bit overexposed, but so that's got a camera in there. And so you press one of these buttons at the bottom, and it takes a photo of you, and then that calls up to the emotion detection API. And returns you your emotion, and then on that screen at the top, it'll like have a smiley face or a sad face, and it'll tweet that image out to Twitter with.
There's the sentiment analysis stuff, isn't there? And
nice.
Yeah, so that was one of the first forays into playing with Cog services, and it's really good. I've auto start, and yeah,
there was a thing. So like I think it's probably a couple of years ago now, since I've been down to the Reading campus at Microsoft. But when they went in, you had, I think I can't remember if it was like a Surface Hub that was there, but you could go up to it and you'd take your picture and then work out how old you were based on your picture and stuff like that as well. Pete, you've gone very blurry.
Yeah, I'm going to fix that.
It's autofocus. It's going to get
there. It's worth noting as well, just before we go ahead and create this resource group, along the top of the screen nowish should be the URL to our GitHub repos. You'll see in there Santa's Mailroom, and if you want to be able to contribute to that as well and take it a step further, even after the show, you can do that. You can open pull requests there as well. And sorry, I got something in my eye. And also pull that stuff down. You can pull it down. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say what we're going to do now is probably not very polished or necessarily best practice, but it is at least a starting point. And if you want to explore that,
we're hopefully going to make it work, and that's the goal for today.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, can you see my...
Yes, thank you for that. That's really useful.
Yeah.
So let's go on and create the
resource group.
Resource group, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Resource group. I'm
glad you've not started thinking yet. You see, that's the problem. So you can't get your words out.
So let's call this Santa. No, that's Santa Cognitive Services. No, I don't want to call it Santa Cognitive. Santa Mailroom.
Yeah.
Let's put it probably in the UK, because I don't suppose that there is a North Pole data center for Azure.
No.
But UK South or even UK West.
Either do. UK South I normally reach for, but that's just
UK
habit.
South for now. Let's do a shortcode for UKS, so it's UK South, and then we'll call it resource group. review and create, blah, 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 create.
Is that leaking what you normally use your naming convention for?
That's my default way of naming things.
Right. See, I do. I follow the Azure document, which talks about putting RG at the front.
Yeah.
I don't like putting RG at the front.
Yeah,
In
there you
fact,
go.
there's like 2 Azure documents that say it different ways.
I think as long as you're consistent, it doesn't matter.
So I like to do business unit,
Yep.
then
Application.
product or application,
Yeah.
data
Location.
center, environment, resource group. Now we're not doing environment here.
No.
Just because we're not going to build many environments for this. We're just going to do a one-off thing. But yeah, I like to go from that perspective.
Cool.
Over
Right.
anything else.
What are we going to create in this? The cognitive services then?
We're going to create cognitive services to start with.
Yeah, obviously with while you're doing that,
Is
all
it
these different cognitive services, platforms, sections, facilities, or whatever you want to call them, there's a different pricing structure for all of them.
Yes.
And I think this one is charged on a per 1,000, was it? I think
It is per 1,000 transactions. Up to the first million are, what do we say? It was £1.12 per 1,000 in UK pounds.
Yeah. So reasonably affordable, really.
Yeah, I mean, considering the model training that you're buying into.
But I think the thing to think about though is so you can do images and you can do PDFs and stuff, but a read is counted as per page. So if you're scanning 1,000-page PDF, that's 1,000 reads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're on to the next document and so on. So yeah, we create computer vision, right? That's the thing. I'm pretty sure, maybe, probably.
Give it a name.
Oh, actually, is this right?
Optical character recognition is part of computer vision.
Well, we've stood up a a cognitive services thing previously, but I can't remember what we did. Pete or Jonathan, do you want to just double check what we stood up?
That implies I'm logged in. Let me just.
Yeah, well, I am logged in. What do you remember what the resource group was called?
No. No. You know what? You know why I can't remember that? Because it's not in the subscription.
There you go then. That's why.
It's in my MSDN or Visual Studio subscription.
Whoops.
Because I was concerned about how much we'd use on this Azure sponsorship thing, so I thought I'd just use mine for now, just in case.
Oh, by the way, when I went off to collect my camera, I hope everybody appreciated my elf trousers that I'm wearing.
Pajama bottoms.
Yes, well,
lounge pants.
Yeah, then underneath this jumper as well, I've got an elf top. But there is
because you know Santa.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Whilst you can create computer vision on its own, I think we should stand up cognitive services, maybe. Because I mean, that's what we did when we were playing around with this previously.
Let's do that.
I'm also happy to do this because I think it's still just the same API.
No, I'm happy to go back. Let's create sort of. Yeah, that's interesting, that, isn't it? So
let's maybe stand this up and see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
We'll quickly find out whether it's
Santa Vision.
Santa Vision. Now there's a product name.
It's available, so I'm gonna take it.
Sorry,
and there's a free tier from the look of things as well. So there's this maximum 5,000 calls a month and 20 per minute. We're not going to be going through that many, I don't think.
Yeah, free's good. We like free.
Certainly for a proof of concept, it's a great place to start.
That's the good thing about Azure generally is there are a whole heap of free tiers available, and there are services that are free forever, so long as you use them at this sort of level. And obviously, if you're brand new to Azure, then you can sign up and you'll get a bunch of credit to use for free as well for 12 months. There are a whole heap of different paths that you can take to get free stuff like this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's certainly no barrier of entry, is it? Now that you can actually try it out without having to know whether the proof of concept is going to work first. Try before you buy. It's great. A great model.
And another great thing is that the docs and learn stuff specifically learn for things like IoT and AI. They give you a sandbox to play with.
Mm,
You don't
yeah,
even need to put your credit card details in. You get between a 3 and 6 hour sandbox that you can use to go through that learning
Yeah.
and documentation. It's
very
fantastic.
smart. It's like the old
So
labs used to be.
oh yeah, I forgot about those. They were great. Loved those. So Santa Vision has deployed. And it's basically deployed cognitive services anyway. So
Smart. I suppose
I mean,
just a different type of wizard from the marketplace then.
there's Santa
Yeah,
Vision.
there's
It's just a
Santa Vision.
different icon to cognitive services. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, so stuff and things.
It's pretty much what
We
we
want
do
to
all the
extract
day.
tax. Say again.
That's what we do every day. Stuff and
Stuff and
things.
things and stuff.
Mhm.
So we want to create a new function app, right?
Yes.
Can you both? Are you both connected to the live share session as well?
Yes, we are.
Can you see things that I am doing?
I can only see.
I can see nothing.
I can see nothing. Hang on.
Cool. That's fine because I'm not doing anything
That's
other than
Oh,
there
that was
being files in there. Can
I
you?
can only see the README.
And to get
Good.
ignored.
Good. That's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new function project. I think. I'm going to do it in Santa's mailroom.
You're doing this in the terminal.
No, I'm doing it. I'm doing this in Visual Studio Code at the moment.
Okay.
Maybe. Hold on. Let me change my screen sharing options.
I can see a new folder called new folder. That's all right.
Good. It is working then.
Is there? Can I change my source? My share screen source. Is that an option?
You'd have thought it would be.
Here you go.
There we go.
So I am going to create a new folder and we call it. Oh, this is basically the API, isn't it?
It is the API. Yes.
Let's create it. API. We'll do that in the API space. C# because that's what we all know and love.
Yep.
But I guess this is our our extract text. So this is where we're saying we want to do blob trigger, right?
Extract text is going to run off a blob trigger because we're going to put the file in the blob and then it's going to run. So yeah, it's a blob trigger.
Cool. And we call this extract text.
Does what it says on the tin. TM patent pending.
We call it Azureish .santa .mailroom API.
Yep. We will need one of those.
We will. Yeah, we will. But what do we put in? Create a new blob trigger. I don't know. Create a new local app setting. Let's do that. What does
that
mean? Oh, okay. Storage account.
It's offering to create that for you.
Okay, well let's do that.
That's clever. I've never seen it do that before.
Santa.
So I guess that's then going to automatically update the local settings without us having to manually craft that.
Well, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Let's wait and see what happens. We're going to do it in Santa's mailroom.
Yep. UK South.
UK South. We're going to call this letters.
Yep.
Slash. No, just letters, isn't it? Yeah, letters.
Yeah. Just a folder for letters.
In order to debug, you must select storage account for internal use by Azure functions. I'm going to use local emulator, and I have Azure already installed as an extension in Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to go just ahead and start both of those by clicking at the bottom like I have.
I'm going to go and install that because I've just been using the storage emulator and it's a little bit more difficult. But
I still use storage emulator.
Azure is great and it's cross-platform as well. The thing that it doesn't have in it is table storage. So if you wanted to do stuff like really noddy NoSQL type stuff, you can't use Azure for that anymore. There we go. We're in.
Hey, I can see files.
Save that, I guess. I don't know why it's opened it, but save it and see what happens.
I've got the usual thing going on in the.
What's happening here? What's happening here?
It's
Why
got
are there
3
so
closing brackets on mine.
Why is there many closing brackets? Let's
Many
close all of
closing
those.
brackets. Because you can't be.
It's added debug internal console options twice. Apparently.
Yeah, and a comma. There we go.
Save that. Close. Extract text is there. So we've got a function name already. We've already got some stuff that can log out to console. The other thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to add to the git ignore. So when I started the Azure services, you see it's added a bunch of these files.
Oh yeah.
So basically, all it's doing is it's storing that in your file system for the project, but we don't want to commit all of that back to Git. No. So let's just go and add those into our git ignore as well. I'm going to just zoom in slightly as well because I'm pretty sure people aren't going to be able to see what's going on very well. So let me just make this a little bit
very
lower.
considerate for our audience.
Absolutely, there will be messages in the chat
of thanks.
Storage.
Of awe, actually.
Yes. Your lounge pants.
Storage, you want to ignore underscore Q.
They get water.
Say that again. Sorry, Pete. I wasn't listening.
Oh, we're talking amongst ourselves.
Okay. And then we want to basically ignore anything that says Azure right. Star. Yep. Save that. There we go. Look at that.
It's all gone quiet again.
Let's do git add docs.
Yeah, in my source control tab in VS Code, I now have count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I'm never sure. 10, I'm never sure quite what live gets up to with this because I've got 149 changes of stuff that clearly is not. Yeah, it's got multiple instances of the same project, and I've even got an auto getting started as well for some reason.
I'm slightly impressed. Like I obviously we can't see the stream whilst we're streaming, not properly anyway because we're busy doing this and everything else. But I can see on the machine that I have over in the corner that's actually doing all the OBS fun times and everything else and streaming to you guys now. That the Git Watcher has in fact worked, and at the bottom of the screen is the correct Git message, and you can see like the repo name, Git commit, it's done it, and that the message along with it.
Oh,
that is very satisfying. That's the first in the wild use of Git Watcher. So, well done, team.
Absolutely,
really jumped with that job. Right, so we have our extract text function. I guess before we do anything else, should we just make sure the function runs?
That's a good start.
It's not going to. Oh, we've got a trigger, haven't we already? That blob trigger. So
yeah, so we can put something in the storage account. So we're using this connection string there, but maybe for now what we do is I'm going to go to local settings and I'm going to change that to just use the local dev as well. Maybe. Yeah. So all we need to do is take this use development storage true. Don't really care about that connection string and the secret that's there because we can just get that from the storage account again and regenerate it. Correct. All sorts.
We can do that in the app settings on the.
Yeah. I apologize by the way if you can hear background noise because my dog is pushing her bowl around the kitchen because she got some food stuck in it earlier and it's dried on. And
she's sure it's just not a protest about not being fed.
She has had more than enough food today.
Interesting. I don't have a local settings on my machine. Do you see that on yours? There does that not get shared on live share? Do you think specifically?
Is
that because you have? Are you missing everything that we've taken out of Git ignore or added to Git ignore?
No,
the Azure right stuff as well.
That is fair. Live share is not showing me the Azure right stuff anymore now.
I still see the Azure right stuff.
I've just clicked the refresh Explorer in the top right, and it disappeared.
Oh, yeah. Quite right.
Interesting.
So I think because local settings is already in the Git ignore on start, we never got to see that. So
the more you know.
There you go.
Yep.
So I guess let's run the function.
So what have you done? What if you put something in storage, or are you going to?
No, I'm going to. We need to start the function first before we do that.
Absolutely. Yep.
So you're still using Storage Explorer to see Azure right then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder, is there an equivalent extension to do that in VS Code somehow?
There might be. I don't know.
I'll look.
So I don't need to go into any of these things down here, but what I can do is do local and attached straight away.
Mhm.
And I can go into storage accounts, and I don't know if I can zoom in on this, by the way, folks. So sorry about that. And I can see emulator.
Yep.
So we're basically still using the storage emulator, not the same one, but it's going to run on the same ports.
Okay.
So I can go in and say, all right, well, show me your goods. Go blob containers. And we've just got Azure Web Job Hosts at the moment, which is correct because we've just started the Azure function.
But we have no letters container yet.
But we have no letters container yet.
So are we going to have to manually create that?
We can do, or we can do it in code.
Okay.
So we can change it so that in code we check to see if it exists first, and if it does, then we don't do anything. But if it doesn't, we recreate it. We can
Sounds
go
great.
create it. But ultimately, we have registered our function just
Excellent.
here.
Yep. Tick. As minimum viable products go, it's not very exciting, but it runs.
Yes, yeah. I'm just gonna have to go and stop the dog from doing what she's doing because she's being really loud and she's getting louder.
We can't hear it, by the way.
No.
I can though, and it's really distracting.
I've just realised we use OBS Ninja to hook all these things together, or specifically Liam does, and we dial in.
Yes.
But you can. Liam is sharing his picture with us, and you've got two different view options. You can view just the four of us, or three of us rather, in the screen share, or you can sort of maximize one of which gives it better. But when you do that, of course, then you can't see other people. But there's a little three dots in the right hand corner, and you can select picture in picture, and then you can drag that whole.
Oh my days!
So you can see a bigger. The picture quality isn't all that, but it's good enough that I can see what's going on, as well as Liam and Jonathan too. So
apologies, folks.
Call that out for Jonathan's.
You are yes, that is great. Thank you, Pete.
What was that? Sorry,
not telling you.
No, we'll show you afterward. Picture in picture in OBS Ninja. It's all right.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, actually, you can expand it and then do picture in picture, and then you get an even better quality version, and then you can and you unexpand it, and then the quality goes back down again. That's a shame.
It's not that great.
It's way better than not seeing your beautiful faces.
Let's get this function doing something more than running and exporting to output.
Yes. Well, I guess let's get it to create the what's it? The Dubry, the thingamabob.
Yes,
the container. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
There is a storage extension, by the way.
There is.
Very nice. Oh, that's good.
What's it called?
Azure Storage.
Oh, of course it is. Of course.
Yeah, Azure Storage is the Microsoft managed service providing cloud storage. Blah blah blah.
Does that also include connecting to local emulator then?
Don't know. Explore, create, delete blob containers, file shares, queues, tables, and storage accounts is the first feature on that list. I can't see why, because access, connection, string, and primary key. I don't know. It might be that it just isn't. Might be that it's part of the Azure.
Yeah, a bit like the Azure extension where it goes off to the cloud and gets you a list of stuff. It might be interacting with the actual live one, but anyway, we'll have a look at that later.
Above that, though, is Azure Storage Explorer by a guy called Hyun Han. If I'm pronouncing that badly, then apologies. Yeah. That might do exactly what you're talking about. Anyway, we digress.
We digress indeed.
Yeah.
So I guess I think so. We can probably add the letters if it doesn't already. I mean, I guess this is probably the wrong function to do that in, though, right? Because this is extracting the text. So
this assumes that it's already in the folder. So really,
So if anything's going to do it, it's our upload that should do it.
Correct.
So let's maybe just do it by hand for now.
Let's do it by hand for now. Let's create a letters container.
We're just calling it what? Letters, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then with it running, it should notice us drop anything in at the moment. It doesn't have to be one of our sample letters, does it?
That's correct. It's not running though, so I'm going to rerun it. And I'm going to find
just wait for it to bind. I find when I'm testing functions locally, I I go into like Postman to test an HTTP trigger, and I'm too quick
Too
for
fast. Yeah. So I'm going to upload a letter, not a letter, a picture. Here is the picture I'm going to
it.
upload.
Oh,
Oh, I like that.
Um,
Bit. I've dressed Bit up. I don't know if you can see Bit hiding just to the right of my microphone over here, and I've Christmas Bit. So on brand, on point.
there you go. That queue that is transferring now.
Yep.
So we should see. There you go. There's the
executing.
function. Yeah, it's executed. We can see the log output there as well. So
Yep.
it's function process blob, file name, file size.
Brilliant.
That's fantastic. That's actually a really good test, isn't it? See, there's so much information been popped out of that. So
Yeah.
and did you type that log.information or did you?
No, that's what it's, when you create it with a blob trigger, it adds that anyway.
Yeah, which is great. Really good. Get you off that blank page approach, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to close that at the bottom of the screen. So I guess, yeah. So what do we want to? We want to.
So we need to set up the communication to cognitive services, I guess. So we need to.
We do. Yes, a good point. So we can set this value in local.settings.json, which is what we'll do for this. And we can then add it as an app setting later. But I guess the best way to go about this is literally just grab it from an environment variable. Like we need to set it in our local settings JSON and stuff like that first, but grab it out as that environment variable in the first place.
Yep.
So whilst you're doing that, Jonathan, I am going to grab the keys to that in very important kingdom. So we're going to need a handful of things, right? So we're going to need to know the key and the endpoint.
Yep. So I'll start off with a key, and then we'll want the endpoint of cognitive services that we're going to call. So we'll call that API endpoint, and we'll go environment dot get environment variable again, and call that one similarly cognitive endpoint.
Okay.
And then what's the other thing we're going to need?
Well, let me go and add the. I
Let's
don't
start
know
with
what's
that
going to
first.
happen whilst it's on live share. If I click away from this file, does it? I hope it doesn't drag you with me because I'm going to.
No.
Cool.
No, it's fine.
So I'm going to add this in there. So we called it's cognitive key, isn't it? Cognitive
key.
Capital K.
That's going to be a string. And then let me grab the cognitive endpoint.
So I suppose, Pete, we need to have a look at the documentation to work out what the analyze function URL is.
Yeah, I'm looking at this specific page. There's the computer vision read API.
Yep.
Is what we're going to be hitting, and there's actually a read 3.2 preview that allows selecting pages. Interestingly, but I don't think we need to worry too much about that.
I don't think we need to do the preview right now, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. So there's an API call. So what have you got there? Have you got the address ready for me to paste in?
No.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think there is now based on what Jonathan's done. So you could put the end of it in. So I've already put the address for the cognitive services endpoint, the overall cognitive services endpoint into our local settings.json.
We want the slash, whatever the rest of it is, the base. So what's the full thing you've got in front of us, Pete? And we can trim that.
I don't know how that works. I'm just going to paste a whole lot into this. And
you do that and we can truncate it.
That is what is next to the read call.
So I think we can probably get rid of.
How does that work?
So that looks like an example where you've read something and that's a GUID of a read and analyze results. So that's after the effect. We need the
so this would be our endpoint. So we could get rid of
all of that bit that Liam's
not that bit.
Not that bit.
I don't know. I've managed to do that, but get rid of that bit. And we're not getting the results. We're just doing an analyze. So get rid of the results, blah, but keep analyze. I think. I'm pretty sure there's probably. So we're doing some of this by hand, right? But I think there might be like a NuGet package that will do this sort of stuff now.
Sure, more than likely.
I haven't played with it enough to be able to say. Like when we were playing with this, we looked at doing this by hand because it was the easiest way to go about it. So yeah, we want a new HTTP client and to add in using system.net.http. We have that said HTTP client as well.
It's not particularly obvious on the docs, this.
So how do we authenticate when we're making the call to cognitive services? What do we need to pass to make sure that it's not just anybody hitting our endpoint?
So my understanding of it is, well, we pass our cognitive key.
Okay.
But my understanding of how that's actually put together at cognitive services end is realistically it's going through an Azure API management, like an APIM.
Yep.
And we're authenticating with that key from there.
Okay. So we're going to need to add a header.
Yes.
Client. So we're going to add. Right. Let's have a look at the documentation.
Looking at the docs for this, there's a header we need to add that is OCP.
Yep.
Dash APIM, so APIM.
Okay.
Dash not that subscription. There we go.
Hang on, how do you spell that? Is that yeah. Okay. Subscription.
Dash key.
Okie doke, and then
that value is underscore API key.
Right. So that's that.
So I mean,
now we want to. Sorry, go on.
I'm looking at the quick starts in the docs here, and yeah, there's a couple of NuGet packages, the Azure.cognitive-services.vision.computer-vision, and then a .models on there. And
that sounds like something definitely our audience could pick up and refactor.
Yeah, because we're literally just going for bare minimum here and manually wiring.
Yep. And there's a authenticate.
So we're going to have to.
That would be way better than what we've just done.
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds so cool. Why don't we use that?
I think because when we looked at seeing if we could do this, the example that we were looking at didn't say this existed.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Need to do better research next time. So we'll plow on with what we've already researched, which is the fact that we're going to have to take that blob content.
Yeah.
Which is currently being passed in as my blob from the trigger at the top of this.
Yeah.
And we're going to need to extract the content out of that. No, not extract it. We're going to need to pass that into the HTTP client and post it to cognitive services.
So it's already a stream, right? So we've got this. Let me turn off the file explorer thing there. So this trigger that we have here, where we're doing our blob trigger, letters / name. We've got a connection string. That is actually saying, okay, well, the thing that the input binding there is a stream, and it's just called my blob.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to. If we could extract the content out of that.
Yeah. So if we did using then HTTP content.
Yeah.
And then we get it out as stream content, not just.
So
I don't think we can just use stream. I think we have to tell it it's stream content.
My blob.
Yeah. You need another bracket there. Yeah.
My blob.
So we were talking the other day about this, Jonathan, with like C#. Oh no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go down that route.
No, you can absolutely.
This isn't C#9 because
no, but you're talking about the syntax where, in fact, get rid of those double brackets and you just do that.
Yeah, or the nested usings, I think was another thing that you can do.
Nested usings will come to later.
Yeah.
It depends whether it behaves itself. We'll stick with the traditional one, but yeah, there are some nice little formatting tweaks in C# now, which reduces some of the noise and the nested brackets. All hail the garbage collector for working out what the heck we're typing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Like at the time of us doing this, I don't remember if function apps support .NET 5 yet, which would be then C#9 and all that sort of stuff. So for this function, we've stuck with .NET .NET Core 3.1, just to keep it nice and easy. So we're grabbing that content, aren't we? So we've got the stream content, but then we need to tell it what flavor of thing we're pushing up.
Image. Why is media type header? Is that because it's decided to lowercase me? Thank you very much. Unless there's a there we go. Yeah. Stop moaning now. So we want to. What do we want to
tell it where we're going to go?
Oh yeah, where do we want to go?
We want to go to our cognitive services URL, which is going to be. So if we create a new variable called cognitive services URL.
Okay. Cognitive
because we're also going to want to tell it, just for this particular operation as well, that we're actually going to be looking at handwriting,
Okay.
or enable the ability to look at handwriting.
So does that mean it's a bit kinder because it's going to be scribbly
I don't know.
text?
Actually, I think it just does that extra bit of processing. You know, for folks who know about this, obviously let us know in the chat and stuff, or reach out to us on Twitter. This is kind of the first time we're fiddling with this stuff. So
Yes, indeed.
Outside of our rough POC that we've done, this is new territory to us. So
okay, so
result as
sometimes Visual Studio Code is IntelliSense just do funny things for me.
So
anyway,
we're not doing this whole thing as async, but we are using some of the async things. I can't remember why, but ultimately this is better off running it. I think it's because it's a blob trigger. Maybe I don't know if there's a hard and fast rule for it, but let's carry on as a synchronous operation.
So if that comes back and it's okay, because let's be good people and check for that.
Yeah, it makes life a lot easier, I guess. For now, before we do anything else, let's do a log dot information and say it was successful rather than anything else.
Right,
Do it inside the if.
Inside that. Oh, hang on a minute. Just managed to hit the Windows key instead of the thing and resize my window. Lol. Log dot information, lowercase log. Yeah. Oh, come on. What are you doing, IntelliSense? There we go. Right. So we want to say that it's
successful. Yeah. And then we'll do a else for a much less successful flavor.
Yes. Else Santa is sad.
And then I guess let's give that a bash as a starter for 10.
So just run through what that's going to do now. What we've got on the screen, we've got obviously some variables going to hold the API key and the endpoint and the URL base, and then we're feeding. Are we using API URL base? Where's that gone?
API URL base is used.
So we used
base address to the HTTP client.
We used it part of there to form, because we wanted to do append temporarily. We wanted to stick handwriting equals true as a query parameter. And then all we're doing is we're taking the content which we've extracted from stream content and turning that into a post, HTTP post, and we've set the media type header to be application octet stream for the image. And then we're just seeing whether the Cognitive Services API returns us a success status code or not.
Yeah, and then we can go into dealing with.
We'll work out what comes back in a sec. Let's just see if we can if we've hooked that up.
So I'm going to F5. Now, I don't know if it'll read the triggers straight away or if we need to add a new image. So let's
probably add a new image.
Well, I've had some things before where it might be when I've changed machine where I've been talking to another storage account that's already been in Azure, but then I've pulled it down in terms of my function app, and then it's still using my local settings connecting to my dev storage account, and it's had stuff in, and it's just going to reprocess all the triggers.
Yeah, indexing, I guess, isn't it? What it thinks its own index is for that particular storage account will have been 0 on that new machine. So yeah.
So we have all of those things. I'm going to delete this out, and I'm going to add the same one back because it'll be easier.
Good idea. Yes, we do want to delete it.
Sorry, yes, I was finding it again as well at the same time.
Goodbye, blob.
So delightful PNG that we have. It's going to upload.
Transferring.
Yep. I've already seen the results.
Oh crikey! Okay, that's
that was
mega. That's not finished yet, though, right? So we've executed the first part of that, where we've gone and the trigger has happened, but we aren't. Nothing else has happened, right? Yeah, that's it.
So we've posted it to Cognitive Services, and it said thank you very much for the file. and we've had the extract tag successful log
Oh yeah,
line,
sorry. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'd missed that before.
which is what Pete was referring to, and that came back in 1.2 seconds.
So this is
quick.
probably just my really bad understanding of async, but that var response HTTP client post async line there, we're not awaiting that.
We aren't.
That's a good point.
So
we can't await it while we're in a synchronous method.
Yeah, so it's automatically awaiting it because we're not in an async method. I'm surprised it's not complaining.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I know dot result is I think it
maybe that result and waits. Yeah, I think that's what it is, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, that's what's done it, isn't it? Because it's a bit like link. It's kind of doing a lazy.
Yeah.
It has to have a result for it to actually return a value. So it's paused the thread at that point.
Yeah, I completely missed that dot result on the end. Actually,
if you hover over it, you can see that it takes a task as an input. So yeah, that explains that.
If you remove it, you'll probably get squigglies telling us that.
Well, response would become a task as a variable because we varred it. So
yes, yeah.
No, good question though, Pete.
I completely missed that. Well spotted on the dot result, and yeah, that's something that's quite handy actually if you kind of want a halfway house. But I'm guessing that this is still sort of a locking process, isn't it? So
well, it is. So therefore, actually calling it async is actually irrelevant because we don't really want it to be async in this case. We're not making any use of it being async.
No.
Cool. Right. So we've got a response back, but what's in the response?
Well, that is a good question. So should we print that response out for now, or how do you want to handle that?
Response.toString.
So let's have a look at the documentation. It's returning as it's
HTTP response.
Yeah, but it's going to tell us where to get the result from. Is that what it's doing? So it's giving us a ticket back going, thanks very much for your order. Here's a reference. So
it's giving us.
I think maybe it gives us that URL that we had before that Pete gave us.
By the looks of it, it gives you that URL, and then you use that URL to then go and call another service to get the actual results.
Okay. Cool. So that's on a header by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Called operation. Yeah, that's the one. All right. So get values, operation location, and because that could be a multiple collection, let's just take the first or default, because otherwise, I'm just going to get a list.
Why is it
put so that's going to be red because we don't have link.
We don't have yes, we need system.link, don't we?
I'll scroll to the top and I shall go out there.
You can be our manual resharper.
System.link.
I didn't realize you had to add that. I thought that was sort of baked into everything we did. Interesting.
You are missing a bracket still, though.
I am, aren't I? Where?
Yep.
Just one closing one that you're missing.
That's the one.
Really?
Yeah, from the log.
Of course, it's the log. Yeah, the idiot.
Okay, so let's stop and restart that.
Yep.
And do it all again. I'm going to delete that out.
Yep. Get rid of that while you're waiting.
And you flick straight back to code, and then you'll be able to see that result. It's fast, super fast, isn't it? It's mega fast. I mean, there we go. Interestingly, though, it's not done it.
No. Is that just because we need to set our log
levels not at
level?
Yes, quite right.
Logging. Well, that's the app insight stuff. How do we set log level for this? I don't know.
The VS Code directory up there at the top. You've got to do it in there somewhere, have you?
I don't know.
Settings.json, maybe.
Environment? Is it just an environment level that we have to set? Where is it?
I feel bad that I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, let's ask Google Bing.
Google Bing. Hey, Cortana. No, go away. Go. No.
She was listening. She's always listening. I feel like we shouldn't have to turn this on.
I am in agreement when we put it into debug, right? So when
we're debugging, you mean?
Well,
Maybe I'll just switch it to log.info for the moment. Yeah.
yeah. Let's not waste too much time.
What have we got it at the moment? Log.debug.
Debug.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me stop
Hang
it
on,
and
I'm
I'll
not finished.
restart it again. I've also uploaded that image, but I know it has been dealt with. So let me.
I'm hearing.
I can also hear myself again.
I was going to say, where's that coming from?
Right. Let me scroll that up a little bit there.
Appeared in the debug console, would it? Rather than the terminal. Being as if it's not debug.
No.
Only if we were debugging, and I think because we're doing a run, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, that's fine.
One for the future.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's starting.
Yep,
Take
started.
my image of Pete's fantastic little workshop he did.
Hey, Santa
Yeah, there you go.
Cognitive Services.
There we go. I really enjoyed that workshop, by the way, and
The robot arm stuff was really cool.
it was
very good. I learnt a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did
So,
go on.
no, sorry, you go. I was just going to move it along.
Yeah, that's all right. So you should.
Let's move
I was going to say it had a fantastic cloud skills show on the MS Dev UK channel today.
Thursday.
Yes, on Thursday. Everything's sort of blending together these days on Thursday.
Well, we know how busy you've been this sort of week as well, Pete. To be fair,
Yeah, exactly.
a man of many plates.
Yeah, that particular day, I had to get up and do TechFest as well first thing in the morning.
Oh, did you? Crikey.
And then do that almost straight afterwards. But it was great. We had a bunch of the IoT advocates on there, and Cliff Aegis and Amy Boyd as well, and yeah, some extra videos on there from Girls into Coding, and it was a really good show. Special hour and a half. Normally they're an hour, but we extended it.
So Jonathan, just quickly whilst we're doing that, is there any reason why we would use null instead of string.empty? Because isn't null a bad thing?
Oh, well, given that we're setting it here, I suppose it's only if we were then going to use operation location and the else afterwards. So in that sense, it could be either.
Okay. Just it's always my understanding that null was bad.
You can get into a debate whether you want to use uppercase string or lowercase string. I mean, if we want to, that used to get us.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we've now got that URL. So we need to go and get that URL, don't we?
Yeah, and that's what you've just done, right? So you've added.
So all I've done is I've just introduced a string to capture that.
Yeah, with you. Yeah.
So now we need to. I suppose we just need to use the same HTTP client to do a get, but based on that, that was just the response to get the URL. But we think that, based on our reading around, that it's going to take machine learning and stuff a bit of time to actually process this image, isn't it? So
yes,
are we going to need to?
I want to say, yeah, I think so. I think the thing that we want as well. I don't know if it will show me.
I'm going to start with the HTTP client because we're just going to do another get with that operation location because we want to go and get what's in it, and we're going to again with the dot result on the end.
So yeah, but I think the thing that we also have as well is from a quick flick through is that gives us a JSON result back. So I guess for now for testing, we probably want it to just give us that back as a string or something for the time being. Or do we want to go as far as creating a DTO for the JSON? I mean, I guess we don't really know exactly what's in that JSON just yet, do we?
I don't know. It's on the docs.
Okay.
It might be useful, but should we just get it first, or do we want to leap ahead?
No, stick it out as a two-string first. Let's make sure it's working. Two-string it out, and then we can decide what bits we need to pull out of it directly, can't we? But you're right, we can convert it to a proper JSON object, and then.
So if we do response.content.reader string async result.
So operation
Should-
location. Is that going to be correct, or do we need to format that with an endpoint? Is it going to?
No, like we already saw it. It gave us like the whole URL,
Oh, did it?
including the endpoint. Yeah.
In my
I
terminal,
mean,
it's gone to 3 characters wide again for some reason.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, you make a good point about null here, because we've got no guard clause. If we did get an error case back from cognitive services, we would still try and do a get on a null.
Yeah.
So should we just do a string.empty for now? Like,
Let's
I mean,
do
we don't need to go massively into defensive coding. You know, we've only got a finite amount of time in the show,
Yeah, okay.
and
Yep.
we're
So let's
trying to
do
build
that.
a whole digital mailroom.
So do we want to try running that then?
I'll F5 it. That is not the window that I pressed F5 on, or the browser. So function host start, blah blah blah. So let me bin this off again as well, and just for reference, the image that we're uploading is this. This is the thumbnail from Pete's show, the workshop he did around building a robot arm, which is also available on the Azureish Live YouTube. So go and find us out there and give that a look. We don't quite have enough subscribers to have a fancy
A custom URL yet? No.
custom URL for it yet, but yeah. But it is also still on the Twitch channel. It should be still there for a few days as well.
Yes.
So if you want to do that, so yeah, so that's there. We can see we're running. I'm going to upload this delightful PNG. There we
It's
go.
incredible
Extract
how fast that is.
Well, that response came back faster than Azure Storage Explorer updated.
So did we get anything?
It states running. So
so it's not finished doing its job.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
Ah,
I guess
yeah.
put a loop in to check repeatedly. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but off the top of my head, that feels like it's a quick and easy win.
What it says here is the second step is which is what we're doing, and you must call this operation iteratively until it returns succeeded. Use an interval of 1 to 2 seconds to avoid exceeding the request per second rate.
Right then, that sounds like an old school thread sleep.
Interesting. So I wonder if that
Let's try.
for that free tier, does that causes problems?
Well, was it 20 a minute?
Yeah.
So that's what, every 5 seconds, is it? No, hang on a minute, maths.
Well, let's start.
seconds.
Let's start with doing it every 1 second and see how we go. Because the other thing, like, we're going to have a long running function here, right? So that means that the function app as well will cost us more than it would normally.
Yeah, there's a note anyway. The free tier limits the request rate to 20 calls per minute. The paid tier allows 10 requests a second. That can be increased on request.
Okay.
So,
I
20
mean,
calls per minute.
Let's stop it going forever, and we'll come back to what it's going to look for in a second. So I'll take those 2 lines badly inside. And yes, that's what we're going to do, is introduce system.threading.thread.sleep, unless Liam wants to add a using for me, but let's just do that longhand.
I can add a using.
That's fine. It's not that long a line. Cool. So the response, and then we're going to want to, instead of doing this log, let's stick it out as a, let's just put it into a variable called content string. And then let's have that defined above it. So string, content string. And then get rid of that trailing bracket. And then we're going to want to increment the loop.
Sorry.
Yep. I mean, we could put that threading.thread.thread.sleep or whatever probably at the end rather than at the start, but in the vain hope that it automatically gives us a response immediately.
Right. So based on the output,
does it matter the order that we do here?
Well, yeah, I mean, you might get that response immediately, depending on, it might decide that it's going to return a response really fast. And so you're waiting for a second for no good reason if you do that.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's look for that status succeeded then. So we saw in the JSON that we're looking for, what do I have to do? Escape. Hang on, where's my keyboard shortcuts?
So, yeah, that's it.
Status. And then it was another escape. Sorry, it's because I'm typing on a random keyboard. Um,
Because
Fan
you're
it
not
out.
using your Mac, isn't it?
well, it's a PC keyboard plugged into a Mac, which is then shared across to the Windows machine using Synergy. So yeah, it's
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
It became a lot
Yeah.
easier actually that when I reverted to the UK PC type on the Mac, and then suddenly everything was fine. Right, so we're looking for.
And
have I
then
done that
we
right?
want to.
Yeah,
It's still
equals.
correct. You're just saying. That's it. Equals -1.
Yeah.
Do you want me to run it again?
You know,
Yeah, I've saved it.
oh god, with the you're escaping the double quotes there. Can you not just use single quotes on the outer side and then double quotes in the middle and then not have to do escaping?
It's not. I think that like isn't single quote to denote a car or char or however you want to say it.
Well, maybe I'm thinking of JavaScript.
Only thing about this, Liam, is that we've got nothing that's actually going to tell us whether it did finish.
Are we
Yeah.
not writing out to?
We're not writing it out.
We're not.
I removed that.
Let's. Okay. Okay. Well, in which case, let's do it this nice and easy. We can add an output binding to the function.
I see what you were saying about the thread.sleep now because of where you're writing that. I kind of expected you're just going to stick an exit in the do a check for the response in the do and do an exit in there, and
Yeah. So should that go first, or does it still not matter?
it really won't make any odds.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying after this do while loop, if I did the log information again to put the content string to the console, then at least we could see what it managed to pick up once the status string had gone to succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be waiting, even though it might respond with a failed at this point. We're going to wait 10 times for nothing at this point, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to if it fails, we'd be waiting 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
regardless.
there's definitely better ways to do this, but I think
without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
for the simplicity of this.
So
I've just pushed a commit back as well, just to kind of as a save point.
Yeah.
So we want to add in a output trigger. So that output trigger. So in fact, let's bring this down so it's a bit more readable. So I'm going to add a output trigger, and let's probably just save the blob as well. Yeah. So if you just save it as a blob to storage account, that's the word I was looking for. And call it processed.
Yeah.
Process PROCESSED. And then we're gonna have name. It's gonna be some JSON, so let's call it with some JSON.
Yeah.
So we've got what's that blob attribute string blob pass. So file access. Let's tell it on the container we want it to be able to write.
Yep.
To container. And we're going to use
the same connection.
I think you can do it like this anyway. This is I don't know if by default it would automatically use the same connection or not. If we didn't specify it, but I don't want to risk it at the moment.
Let's do it.
Let's do stream output blob.
It's a good name.
Well, we should have had input blob then as well. I can't handle that.
We can do that now.
We can change that. There you go. I'm sure. Isn't there a quick key to it? I'm not going to do it because I can't be able to Google it. But there's a quick key in code to do it, isn't there?
But yeah, you could. Yeah, there is. You can right click and do rename.
Or you could be on live share and have more than one person edit the file at the same time.
Yeah, but you can do it the more expensive way by using multiple people to edit one file.
Right, so at the bottom of the file, I'm just going to put a new stream writer out now to make use of output blob.
Yeah, to actually write it to said blob.
It's still logging it out to console for us, but we'll come on, write it up right. Thing doer dot thing do thing. Content string naming is hard. Right, there you go. So that's saved.
Okay. So let me press the F and the 5.
It's interesting. It does a clean every single time.
I kind of prefer that though.
Yeah, I suppose.
So let's start and run. Blah 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 blah. You can use Pete's thumbnail again.
Getting plenty of air.
Extract. So now we're waiting.
Should have put the URL on that slide.
Good point.
Oh,
Hey, look at that. Boom, succeeded.
So we've actually got the content string out as well. So we must still be logging it out somewhere.
Oh, look at the bottom. It says Blazor, and Signal R with Pete Gallagher. Amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, but I thought we weren't logging this out to
I did.
console
I left line 55 is still in there doing the log.
Oh yeah. It's there. Yeah. So let's take a look in our box of magic.
Look at
file name put in full.png.json.
Now I think I know how to fix that PNG thing.
Okay.
Because
well, let's make sure it's not just a PNG. First.
Let's just make sure it's not just an image and it is actually you need JSON pretty format extension.
F to prettify it.
There you go.
What was that short?
Alt Shift and F.
Oh, but you need an extension for that, or
no, it's just built in.
Oh, cool.
Well, there we go. So for the benefit of people at home, build a robot R with .NET 5, a Raspberry Pi, Blazor, and Signal R with Pete Gallagher, and hashtag Festive Tech Calendar. And we have it looks like I think it reads it line by line, doesn't it? So we've got build a robot arm with .NET 5. Well, there's no dot there, but with Net 5, a Raspberry Pi. Scroll.
Yeah, there's the lines collection and then the text. Sorry, text does the line and then words does each word.
And then we've got Blazor and Signal R with Pete Gallagher. And then somewhere, I think we already saw hashtag Festive Tech Calendar. Look at that. And it looks like what we're getting out of that is like a level of confidence for each word too.
Yes. 94 is good.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's not being hampered by us saying handwriting equals true, which is good. But it is fairly easy text for it to parse.
It's good. It's good stuff. That's
cool. And it's
that's already is going off to cognitive services, throwing an image at it, and
getting some useful output.
Do we want to try with an actual letter?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The cool star of the show in this is Azure Cognitive Services.
Yes, yeah, we've had to needed to do next to no work there. That's just some boilerplate we've had to write.
We've done an upload and a
which is
request.
As Pete pointed out, it's probably just 2 lines in a NuGet package now.
So I have handily wrote my own daughter into this, who has written.
That is very colourful.
I bought her some the scented Crayola felt tips.
Yeah.
So she demanded to write them all with each flavour. Well, amazing. Not flavour because she's not been eating them, but she's got with all of them. So as you can see, she wants another dog and a picture of the current dog that we have and some Harry Potter books, some Lego and that kind of stuff. So hopefully Santa will deliver on all of these things, except for maybe the additional dog.
Because you don't need 2 balls being pushed around your kitchen.
Don't need 2 balls being pushed around the kitchen, and don't need 2 dogs.
Let's see what it does. Is it running still? Yes, it is.
I do want to see your Santa letter now.
Mine.
You've got very childish handwriting. It may look very similar.
I would like, dear Mr. Enzo Ferrari, but if you've got just lying around going spare a Ferrari Roma. I would be.
You're being very specific there with Santa. That's very good.
I know, like I don't. What I've done there is I've also uploaded this.
You've uploaded it into the processed folder.
Yeah.
Amazing. You got distracted by wishing for expensive things.
Yep.
I've been a very good boy this year, and frankly, I deserve it.
I agree. Extract successful.
Yeah.
I can
hear myself again.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. It's taken 11.5 seconds there, but it has come out with some content. So
let's go. Thank you there.
Or just for reference, there's daughter's letter. Again, and let's open up the JSON for that. Refresh.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, you can see that I asked to do that at the end of last month for me as well. Control A, Alt Shift and F to prettify it. And here we are. We have many.
There is. Thank you.
So let's get to the top. Dear Santa, we're off to a good start. This year for Christmas, I would like.
Loving it so far.
But I think she's tried to put a colon in there rather than an exclamation
mark. But I mean,
mark,
look at it. It coped with the shadow and everything. I mean, it's just
it did, yeah.
It's just not phased. This is brilliant. High confidence.
Let me collapse words.
That's a good idea.
Some Leop. Okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, looking how that's written, I can see how it's thought that.
Yeah.
I guess let's zoom in a little bit as well. Some Harry Potter books. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She didn't leave a space there. A mini, then comma, builder. I have a feeling it's going to say build a bear. Yep. There we go. And then Nintendo Switch game.
So this is excellent. So again, this just proves the power of that model that we haven't had to train. We've literally just said there may be some handwriting, and it's gone and done an awfully good job of this.
Well, that's it. You know, we saw us at the start of the show pretty much go and create that cognitive services account
on the fly.
So it's all brand new, shiny. No real pre-work around this. But
right. So what else are we going to try and achieve in this episode?
I guess the thing that we can do is probably. Do we want to do the actual file upload? So it's
yep. Why not?
So we've got a function to do that. Wherever the notes. Oh no, we had a whiteboard. That's what it has. Yeah. So we've got.
I was just looking through that document and to further reinforce it, the accuracy, or at least its expected accuracy, is pretty high. I mean, some of these words are coming back at well over 90% of what it thinks it is. So I forget what's the word I'm looking for, where it thinks it's correct. It's confidence. That's what it is.
Yes.
It's actually next to that number there, Pete. Look, so
it does.
It's almost like they've tried to help you.
Yeah, it is like a hint, handy hint.
So we need a Blazor WASM front end and an upload letter function. Is the last two bits on that.
So maybe I mean, given the amount of time we've got on the show, upload letter is probably going to be fairly straightforward to do. You know, everybody knows how to do a file upload. So maybe we divvy some of this work up, perhaps.
Happy to do that.
If you want to do the upload letter, I don't know if I need to create the additional function.
If you could, because then that just means that I'm working in a structure on your live share that already exists. So if you can create me a skeleton function and then you can go off and do the Blazor WASM while I'm doing the upload.
Watch you do
that. Close that panel. Let's close this. Don't need to save that. Close this. Don't need to save that. Close local settings. So what I was saying was maybe the thing for us to do is to divvy the work up between us, and then we'll review it and talk about it as we go along.
Yep.
So we've already got our function. We've got our local project. I'm going to pick that. I'm going to click create project. This is going to be a HTTP trigger, I think, isn't it? From, based on what we were talking about previously.
Because the Blazor WASM project is going to call this API with the file from its running web front end.
Yeah. So we're going to have HTTP trigger, and we're going to call that upload letter.
And what's been quite good about the way that you've done while you're doing that, the extract text function that we've just done had your example of how to wire up an output container. So effectively for this one, we're going to have an HTTP trigger as the input and a blob container as the output, exactly the same as what we've just done with extract text. So when you come back, there won't be anything brand new apart from an HTTP trigger, and we can go through what I'm typing while Liam and Pete look at the Blazor WASM front end.
Yep. So that's created, Jonathan.
Thank you. I will get on with that.
We've used a HTTP trigger here, and we've also set the authorization level for the function to be the function key. When we deploy this and stuff, it will use that. But you can see already that we're using that different trigger. It's actually generated a load of new text, a load of new code, and this is the same code that it will have generated when we initially did the git watcher as well. I think probably a good point to do the quick save point as well. So let's.
That's a very good idea. Let's git commit.
So this is
added upload letter.
That is upload
or empty upload letter anyway, isn't it?
Scaffold.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
And handle extract.
Brilliant.
Hit push, and this is where the message is probably slightly too long for the bottom of the.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and refine GitWatcher to do some CSS truncation.
It seems to be. It looks okay from what I can see from here.
Right, so I'll carry on with this. If you want to go and blaze a trail at the front end, haha.
I hate you. So Pete, shall we go ahead and create a new Blazor WASM front end, or a client of sorts, at least? Pete, you're muted. We can't hear you at all.
Yes, there was noise in the background. I muted that and unmuted myself at the same time. Yeah, absolutely.
What a fitting end to 2020. It wouldn't be a virtual show if we didn't have one of us having a mic that is off.
Yeah, if I could mute the two children rather than my mic, then that would be preferable. You saw one of them even came in asking for pizza, so you know.
Speaking of which, one of my furry children's decided to wake up as well.
Yeah, my cat is hiding just behind my screen at the moment. I can hear him meowing because I'm not paying him attention.
Get off.
Right. Okay. So
yes,
let's do
WASM, please.
.NET new. Is it Blazor WASM all one word, isn't it?
Yes.
And then we're going to create that in a client folder, perhaps, just for ease. That dash O is output, where we're going to create that. I think we are in the root. Yeah, we are. We don't have to specify standalone because it's standalone by default. It's only what we have to specify hosted if we want to do it as a hosted flavor.
That one, indeed.
Cool. So let's just do a git. We might be doing slightly more git commits than you might do in your working day, or normally, but it's good whilst we're all working on this to sort of have that save point throughout. It doesn't matter too much that all three of us are working on this at the same time, because actually, realistically, we're all doing it on one machine through live share.
It is like magic.
So we shouldn't get merge conflict because I'm actually the only one doing any commits.
That's correct.
There we go.
You know, the issue that we were having with the single column issue in the terminal there, Jonathan, if you just close it, then there's live share in the bottom left-hand corner of your VS Code. Then if you sort of scroll down there, then you'll see shared terminals, and you can click on that and reopen the shared terminal that way. I just figured out how to reopen a shared terminal, and then it reopens and it looks correct. So
I don't know which bit of the live share toolbar am I clicking on?
Oh, not the toolbar, but you know, the where your open editors and everything is on the left-hand side. Right down the bottom of that, you'll see live share usually. And then you should be able to see shared terminals in there as well.
Yes, I do.
Click on that. Read only, it's saying at the moment, of course.
I'm going to whilst you're doing that. Sorry, my dog just barked as well.
Didn't hear that.
For shits and giggles.
Are you going through RTX?
I am going through RTX and NVIDIA broadcast as well.
Very, very good.
We heard nothing of either.
Nope.
Brilliant.
I need
So I've got
apart from hearing yourself back now.
I can hear myself back. It's through Pete, I think, because he doesn't have headphones on.
That might be the problem. You might be right. Yeah.
But yeah, RTX and NVIDIA broadcast just takes all that. I mean, I've got it whacked up right to full to take out all the background noise. So, but yeah, so what I was just doing for what Pete was talking is I was just taking out what is effectively all of the. I probably want to leave that open because Jonathan's doing stuff. But I was taking out all the surplus stuff that we don't need. Like we don't need the weather controller and stuff like that. Like it'd be cool for us to go and get, say, the weather in the North Pole right now, but I think that's probably outside the bounds of the show for now. Maybe if we have time, we can go and add it at the end. But I think for now, let's go and add in all of our stuff. I would like to, I guess first things first, and it's really nice to have more than anything, but I would like to add in a Santa loading screen. And keep it
I like the
thematic.
fact you're keeping it festive. I mean, that's good.
So 1 second, because I have that earlier. Now, I should point out that we didn't create the Santa. It was created by somebody else, because we are not front-end devs, as we mentioned recently.
Yeah, we've seen your squares, Liam. That's as far as...
Look, this episode is standing on the shoulder of giants, and this includes this pretty Santa.
Let me just find where it is.
Do we need to attribute it correctly to the exact place or person that we...
Yes, but we will do that in the YouTube description when this gets done to YouTube,
Perfect.
because I cannot remember where I found it.
Okay.
And I can't find my notes with that in. So, so I have an app CSS that I made earlier. There it is.
Best Blue Beta style, as Pete says.
Indeed. Now I'm going to paste that into this current app CSS. So just going to right over the top, because a lot of the stuff we don't need that's already in there. So we've got all of that. There we go. And then the thing we're going to go and change, if I remember rightly, is actually in this index.html. So in Blazor, we have, obviously you have the index.html anyway, but we have this app loading thing. So when it's downloading to your machine, because ultimately what it does with WebAssembly is it, and Pete, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it downloads it to your machine to be able to execute all the C# and stuff like that. It's not really executing in your browser, is it?
It's a virtual machine in your browser, and it downloads the actual .NET DLLs and runs them as a virtual machine. So it's not compiled and run by your machine. It's running in a virtual machine. But I think there's another version coming. Yeah, exactly. There is another version coming. I forget what the name is now, what they call it. But this is sort of a halfway house to WebAssembly, but it's fantastic.
So we're basically going to replace what is inside this loading here. Did I copy it with the extra? No, I didn't. So there we go. It's just a bunch of divs and CSS ultimately. We're going to run that now. But also what I want to do is we actually need to tell. I think we need to tell our configuration here that we've got Blazor, and we want to run that in debug as well. So we have this launch JSON, which I'm just digging out so we can refer back to it. If I go into VS Code and launch, I'm going to add a configuration in. Basically, I want to add, let's say I want to add one for Blazor. So let's go and do squiggly bracket name Blazor. You can call this whatever you want, by the way, as well. Type is Blazor Wasm. That's it. And we're going to do a launch. I'm going to do tell it where it's working out of, which is this client folder. And you'll have seen on previous shows, I get an error because I don't use Chrome. I use the Chromium-based Edge, where it flashes them saying, "Oh, we can't find Chrome, so you can't. You need to tell us where it is." But I'm not going to do that, because what you can do is say browser. I'm using Edge. There we are. And let me just check that in as well.
You could probably do a lot of this with that add configuration button in the bottom right hand corner, can't you? But you'd still have to do some typing to fix it up, because it would expect it to just be directly probably in the root rather than in the client directory. So we'd have to add that anyway. But
so
often it'll actually prompt you when you open a project like this that it's missing the launch configurations, and I think it will even create them for you.
Yes, but we've not opened it again, have we? We've got
exactly. Yep.
So if I do an F5, right,
Oh, interesting.
No, I don't want to sync my profile. Things
Your
are
audio
happening.
dropped out a bit there,
Yeah,
by
it
the way.
did.
I
Yeah,
don't know what happened there.
it still is.
Any better?
Yep.
I don't know. Yes, but
Oh, look at Santa.
There he is. Look at that.
I like it.
Genius.
I like that.
Very festive.
Okay, so okay, I don't know why that errored, but here we are. So that's the index thing done. Now we've got to add in our HTML. Did it create it with .NET 5? It did create it with .NET 5 by default. There we go. So we're all shiny and new, which means we don't have to do a whole load of wiring to upload a file through a form as well, because there is now in Blazor an input file component which does a lot of cool stuff just out of the box, because low code is best code. So we're just going to add to our index.razor. It obviously was complaining about the survey prompt because that doesn't exist. We've binned off a bunch of other stuff as well. What I also binned off, I realized by accident, is the nav menu, but we kind of want to keep that. Or actually, no, we don't, do we? We don't
No,
care.
not at the moment.
No,
We don't need it.
no.
Don't need it. So I can just take out nav menu there, so it's not complaining about it. I'm going to leave the sidebar in for now, but it'll do. So here is our index.razor. Pete, I don't know if you want to take over writing some of this piece.
Yeah, what do you want?
I would like, well, many things. A Ferrari, please.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrari.
Ferrari component, then, just like that. Yeah.
Ferrari component. I'll settle for an Aston Martin.
No, you can't. No,
You can't
too many
settle.
letters.
Too many letters.
Yeah.
Can't have a space in it.
You have one of those instead.
I've already got PlayStation 5 though, so.
Well, you're wrong then, aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm going to play Cyberpunk 2077. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to need one of these as well at some point, aren't we? Oh no, not that.
Don't need that. No. Yes, we are going to need that. Yes. So what we are going to need, Mr. Gallagher, is to add in I think it is just a, so if we well, first thing, let's do hello North Pole, and let's give it, I don't know, let's give it something North Poley and an ice cube emoji.
Oh, look at this.
So we're going to do H3 upload letter. I'm just adding formatting. You can do the complicated bit.
You say that.
We may very well be in for a slightly longer show than usual, but it is a Christmas special. But that's why we're divvying the work up.
Santa needs this, so it's fine.
Does need this. So within that paragraph tag, Pete, could you start? Basically, we're going to put in left angle bracket. Is it angle bracket? Is that the right thing to call it? Input file.
One of those.
Yeah, space, and then we're going to want to do something. We basically want to handle the upload. We could probably just handle it straight on a change, yeah. And then I don't think you need to put an at in for this.
Oh, really?
I don't think so.
Interesting. Okay, I'm just looking at the docs for input file input change.
I'm looking at the example we did earlier, and we don't have an at.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's all right.
I think it was beefing, but yeah.
Yeah, that makes no difference to me one way or the other.
Let's. So, do we want to talk about the clearing out this file thing now?
No.
I
don't think we even need that for what we're doing here.
No.
But worth pointing out that when we come to that point, we can say. Otherwise, it's just a visible vanity change, isn't it?
That is true. Jonathan, I have made the terminal read write.
Thank
for
you,
you.
because I was just saying in private to Liam that live share wasn't allowing me to do terminal commands because it was read only. So thank you for that.
I think we can just do / like that, though, can't we?
You can change it like that, absolutely. Interestingly, on mine, not on yours, mine's complaining with a red input file saying it's found markup element with an unexpected name.
Jonathan, don't just hit enter there because that's not going to do anything.
I won't do that.
You're not in the folder for the.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, well spotted.
So for me, it tells me unexpected name input file if this is intended to be a component using the using directive. Are we missing an using? I don't think we are. Are we missing system.io? It wouldn't be under system.io.
Are we missing something else somewhere else? Let's have a look.
I don't think so. I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think it's just.
I think it might just be. Yeah, it might be the. What's the name of the? What's it?
Carol.
Carol.
Brian.
I'm just thinking of Christmas
the OmniSharp thing. That's it. The C#.
Yeah. Probably not got the latest .NET goodness in that .NET 5 goodness in there.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly. Okay, so what we need to do is we need a new private async task
down here
in
for that
code. Yeah. And what we're going to do with this is call it the on input file change. We'll open bracket because we're going to have to deal with the thing that comes out of it.
Yeah.
So, you need to go into the regular flavor brackets. Input file change event args. And then just give it like an.
It's like zombies.
I get no IntelliSense for this, by the way.
No, I know that is something that I'm finding with sometimes on VS Code.
Like that?
Interesting. Yeah, that'd be fine. And then we're going to want to do now. Do we want to put something in already to check that it's an image file, or do we not?
We do this. Oh, can't do that. Can we can console log, can't we?
I don't know actually.
Should be able to.
You tell me, Pete. You've
Yeah,
done more Blazor than I have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're our Blazor expert.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. Well, let's just make sure that that works. I guess if you want.
Okay,
for
so
MVP.
So if we F5 it.
Yep. Mine's still complaining with a blue squiggly and everything, but
yeah, mine's saying we've got trouble. Like, oh no, that exactly straight away. That's interesting. Okay.
What's it saying?
I don't know. I didn't see it. Closed it too fast. So let me just go to CD client. .NET run. It should error for me. Type or namespace input file change event args cannot be found. So I think you're right. We might be missing something. Is it literally
it's a typo? It's change event args. That says event change args.
What's going on?
Change event args. Do you think it should be?
It should be change event args, not
args.
That'd be why it wasn't doing any IntelliSense for you, Pete.
Yeah, it's really well. Even with that, it didn't. I couldn't have any. It wasn't giving me anything.
It's errored again as well. Hold on.
Input file change event args. Oh, that looks right.
Yeah. Well, that's complaining about
console does not contain a definition for .log.
Oh, okay. Well, I forget how you do that. How do you do that? Is it console.writeline? Is that why?
Yes, because we're writing C#, not.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yep. Oh, there we are. Yeah, there we are. I actually get IntelliSense for that. Yeah. Geez.
It's amazing when you're along the right lines, isn't it?
Yep.
It's like technical interviews where somebody asks you the simplest thing and you go, what? What's this?
Yeah.
How do I
hello, holding. So let's
just verbalizing that.
Holding.
Holding.
So we've got our downloads. I've got that image. So let's upload Pete's upload. I say Pete's image. There's hello. There you go straight away.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's easier then. Yeah. So I'm just the reason why I wanted to do that is because of me red squigglies up there. I just wanted to make sure input file was actually going to work and give us everything we wanted, and we weren't missing some using somewhere.
So we've added input file. I'm gonna get push. Okay, so that's good. So that proves that handles files ultimately, right?
Yep.
So we're going to. I think we have to do it slightly differently for this upload, don't we? We have to actually turn it into an input stream, and we're going to go and push that off eventually to Jonathan's.
Which is ready for
upload
you when you need to call it now.
Splendid.
Should we have a look at that? Should we have a look?
Here's one you made earlier.
Why is that? Why is that? Yes, I want to save those.
It's probably because because oh hello, why is that added?
There's a million Azure Blob storages.
I literally only added that once.
So let's.
I wonder whether this is the similar thing where we are seeing multiple gits in.
Yes.
All I did in a terminal was issue one add package.
Yep. I mean, I've now got 431 changes according to the.
Yeah, I know it gets a bit.
So we have got upload letter. So do you want to talk us through what you've done?
Yeah. So basically the same. We started the last time you saw this. The HTTP trigger was in place, and that's not changed. But what's changed is the addition of an output trigger. An output connection to the blob using hello. Why is that still saying storage account connection string on yours? That shouldn't be right. That's a typo because we've not called it that.
What did we call it?
It's Santa's doodad, isn't it? Santa Mailroom store storage. Let me just fix that. That thing.
That's better.
Yep. So there's that, and then basically we are saying that if that output container doesn't exist, this is what Liam was talking about earlier in the episode, then it will create the letters container if it doesn't exist already. And then the file from the HTTP trigger, if we're going to take the first one, so just assume that there is something attached. And if it is an image and there's a helper function at the bottom that's looking if it ends in JPEG, PNG, GIF, or JPEG with an E, if that Boolean comes back, then we will continue to process it, but we're just checking the end.
Because I want to borrow that in just a second. So I can copy that.
Definitely. And then after that, we are then just creating a name for the blob. We're doing GUID.new GUID just to give it a random name because we don't need to use the real file name that the person, anonymize it a little bit. And then we are opening a read stream to then stitch all that together. And you can read all this at your leisure in the GitHub repo that Liam mentioned earlier.
Yes, you can. In fact, let me show the little bar at the top. Hopefully, it's not being. You're not going to see it because I think I'm pretty sure the way the OBS scene is laid out is there's Christmas lights over the top of it. But if you go to github.com/Azureish live, you'll be able to see that.
/Santa's Mailroom.
/Santa's Mailroom. Yes, that's it.
Don't do that.
No.
Stealing Jonathan's code.
I'm gonna get a drink of water. You'll be able to see my elf, not pajamas.
Not pajamas.
Is it that? We've added that, but actually, what we now have with .NET 5 is we have this concept of a browser file as well. Cool. So we are going to want to add in system.io. I think is what it sits in.
Yep.
No, I don't want to add it there. I want to add our using after that. So Jonathan used iForm file because it's still ultimately a form, and we whilst we've got our input file here, we've not specified the multiple property on it as well, so it will default to single, but you can set it to upload multiple, and then we'd actually have to go through a loop of that files thing as well. So we're going to change this to iBrowser file, or are we not? Is that not there?
Yep, I think it's just for some reason I'm seeing a lot of red on this screen, but that might just be your live share.
It could be many things.
No, that looks fine in my. Although again, I'm not used to your color palette.
That's also true. Well, it's an Azureish live color palette, isn't it? So.
Of course it is.
Can you turn me into a Santa for just a second? I've just got to step out of the room for a second.
Can I turn you into a Santa?
Yeah. I would have thought you could just stick me as that loading animation.
Not from here.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Press the button.
I'm not that level of prepared.
On OBS Ninja, you can disable the camera with the eye on the bottom.
You can, but I just turn into a black square then.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just pretend you're there.
Yeah, exactly. I will be
Yeah,
just a minute or so.
it's no different to when Pete doesn't turn up to things on time.
You referring
Yeah,
to the stream last night? Oh,
yeah.
sorry,
Although,
Wednesday night.
yeah, exactly.
See you soon, Pete.
Go. We'll see you in a
How
sec.
very rude. Talk about me now.
You'd expect nothing less.
So, what I'm going to do whilst Pete is otherwise indisposed
On a
is
comfort break.
put a var in for an image.
Yep.
And I'm just going to say that. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's inputs args here, isn't
Input
it?
args, yeah.
Dot file.
Yep. This is a very handy little component. This.
It still doesn't like that either. So, well, oh no, there we go. Yeah,
Yep.
it's just catching up. It's just really slow.
Up, yeah.
I think I might just be asking too much of the machine.
You are
at the
doing
moment.
quite a lot. Yeah.
And instead, what we're going to do is going to say, all right, if is image.
Yeah. So we'll do the same trick. Look at the file name.
Yeah. And we'll
No,
have
actually,
our little...
that's not true, is it? It looks at the content type, not the file name.
No, it does look at the file name. Yeah.
Okay.
Looking for the extension. It ends with...
Yeah, I know. It's just the fact that it comes from file.content type. That's what confused me.
I think it's checking it's an image and then saying, is it also a valid image format?
Sorry, yeah, file.ends name. I'm reading too early in the function.
So let's F5 that.
Mm-hmm.
Open up the developer console as well. Well, that's errored. So why is that errored? Okay. So let's... Is it erroring about that? Browser file, browser file. There we go. Definition of file name. You're right, it doesn't. It is slightly different for this. It is just Visual Studio Code crashing.
Right, I'm back.
Visual Studio Code just crashed.
What?
Oh no, there we go. We're okay. No, it hasn't. I don't know what happened there.
Don't have to start another live share. That's good.
It was incorrect. Hopefully that people can still see that.
My browser file does not contain a
thing called file name because it's not that. It's just name.
It's just name.
Yep. Now let's F5. Loading.
I do like that.
F12. Choose a file. Choose Pete's thumbnail. Open. Hello, I'm an image. Now, just for testing purposes, let's add an MP4 in there. Yeah, we don't get anything.
Nope, that's brilliant.
Cool. Right. Okay, so we've got that in there. So now we're actually going to have to go ahead and, well, do the upload ultimately.
So we need to dig inside the image variable to understand the content of it. So as you said earlier, we're going to need to look at the stream content, actually get a stream out of it, and then we're going to want to attach that to the... Well, no, we're going to want to make a call to the upload letter function that you've just showed what I've been doing. So let's
do the stream stuff first, right? So if we're saying stream there we go, equals image dot open read stream. So one thing to bear in mind with this, I think it's the read stream in Blazor, like the maximum allowed size is, in the grand scheme of things, quite small by default. I think it's like only 512K. Yeah. So let's make it more than that. Max allowed size.
Apologies for having to dash off. I mean, this is what happens when you do these things live.
Yep.
Family emergencies are emergencies. So
going
back. Yep. It's all right. Yeah. It's all right. Just children getting ready for bed, things. And
that's fine.
Image
that's why having more than one host is helpful.
Exactly. So thank you for
stream content, and we're going to pop our image stream into that. Right, and then this is so we want to have for our headers now. which is not that.
I'm assuming with that max allowed size, we can specify our own lower limit should we want to.
I guess you could go lower than 512, yeah, if you wanted to. I guess the thing that we tend to have is the images that we've been given are a bit bigger overall. So we've got a few more. We've got a few larger ones ultimately, and they're like.
Well, I guess this is the benefit of, compared to doing this in. I mean, I know you wouldn't necessarily do this in JavaScript and stuff, but the benefit of this getting compiled down to byte code that then is executed, it means that nobody can just come in here and randomly tinker and change that max allowed size, because it's running as a remote DLL, isn't it? So
I mean, I guess you could probably do it at the function end, but then that's probably too late in the chain because you're uploading a
I'm just saying it's a good way of protecting the client, really, isn't it? Cool. Right.
So we're getting the content type. Now, so the way Jonathan has put together the upload letter is we're expecting effectively multi-part form data, right?
Yes, that's correct.
As you can see, evidently, this is not the case. And we don't technically have a form, so we can make that happen in here, I believe. So if we do var form content equals new multi, okay, what namespace is that in? Because there's definitely a multi-part form data thing. Can't remember off the top of my head. I thought it was just part of the default Blazor stuff, but well, I'll type it anyway and see what happens. Multi-part form data content even.
Yeah.
Do a new thing. Yeah, look, there you go. It's just catching up. If it ever tells me things, no, it's just OmniSharp not being very helpful again, is it? And what we're going to do in here is we're just going to give it a image stream. An image key. I don't think it matters what this image key is off the top of my head, but I do want to pass the file name over. And as we established earlier, it needs to be image dot name rather than dot file name, like you get with the iForm file.
Cool. Right, that's ready to be posted then.
Yes, so we do need to do some posting. So first and foremost, we're going to need to inject HTTP client rather than just do it as a using. So inject.
What is the difference?
Yeah, I'd like to do that actually.
This is dependency injection. Dependency injection, is it not? Versus the using thing. Because I think isn't it somewhere like down in startup note program.cs? We have our services HTTP client ready there to be injected in.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised I don't know that, but it's one of those things I just copy and paste and then don't even think about what it's doing. Good point. Yeah, that's interesting.
So we're going to go and drop that down and say, all right, so var response, because we want the response back. And because we are actually an async task, this time we could do equals await HTTP dot, because that's what we've used the shortcode as post async. And then actually what we need is a place to post it to. And then we're actually going to just post the form content. Cool. So in terms of posting stuff to, now there's lots of different ways we can do this. I quite like so we're not going to deploy this into Azure. You know, we're not going to do that in the content of this show today. Just because we're not going to have time to ultimately. But what I would prefer to do is have something called a functions proxy that sits between us and then our potentially multiple functions in different consumption plans and all sorts. Because then you can add in the function key header and manipulate that as well. And all the function proxy is another function app that sits there with just a proxies.json in. I can show you actually a quick example of one I made earlier. which is somewhere. 1 second. Now I can't find it.
Wouldn't be a live code demo.
Yeah. Well, I thought I pushed it to GitHub, but apparently I haven't. So there you go. Oh no, I know where I can. I know where I can show you. I know where I can show you. So we have all of that because we actually did one of these for. Yeah, no, I can't find it in here because it's not in our POC for this. It's with our Git Watcher, in fact. So if I open up our Git Watcher project, I think is that one. It's a separate VS Code instance. Let's close all of that. Close that, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. Just to what's going on. There we go. Close all. You can see that down here. If I make this a little bit bigger, you can see we've got this proxy for proxies application. It is a function app, but all that's in it, it's got no functions in it. It has this proxies.json in here. So we have our route that we're going to call from the client, and then it redirects it with whatever methods we want to allow to our backend URL, and then we can pass in this X functions key header as well, and it automatically authenticates and everything. So that's the way we do it, and we then limit that through cores or IP restrictions between each piece of the puzzle as well, so it's locked down as well. We're not going to do that for this because it doesn't matter for the context of what we're doing, but that's what we would do. What we do need to do though is configure where we are getting our function app for this, and whether or not that's a function app here where we're going direct or to a proxy. The way we can do that, because it's not really a secret to go to where your API is, because you still wouldn't be able to get to it if you're not authenticated in the real world, is we can actually add an app settings.json into the WW root of the Blazor app. And then in here, we can literally say, all right, here is my API base URL. And I'm assuming, Jonathan, that this for us is http://local host :7071 /API, I think. For the function app. Because then what we are going to do is add in the actual URL to it, so we can get at that config through 1 second. So I have some notes for this by injecting, funnily enough, another thing. We can do at inject, and I'm just going to do the full thing here. Microsoft.extensions configuration .I configuration. I'm just going to call it config. So we'll save that, and I'm going to change this down here to then be okay. Well, I've got that. What I want is config, and then this is pretty much like that's right. Now I want to do a string here. Config open bracket, then quote, and then this is, like I said, this is like just getting your normal keys out of your app settings at this stage, and we called it what, API base URL, didn't we?
That's right.
So we close that, and we're gonna close that,
and then my function is /API/.
So we included the API in there, so we're just gonna do
/upload letter.
Upload letter. Right. So that should make that post. But we, again, like we did before, we want to check we're doing something with that. So let's have a _load state. Added private in here as well to update later. So private string or upload state.
Yep.
And like we did, we want to check that's been successful. So we're going to do if response dot is success status code.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go and do all right. So upload underscore upload state equals success. A. I don't need to do anything there yet. So all we're going to do right now is check that that has been uploaded, and then obviously want an else to say underscore results. Sorry, it's not upload state equals an error has occurred for now.
Mm-hmm.
Occurred.
Spelling.
No, that looks wrong, doesn't it? Have I spelled that wrong?
No.
Is it 1C or something? I don't know.
I feel like it's wrong.
It'll do.
Oh no, it's right. It's right.
Oh, cool, good.
Has happened.
And we're going to do stream
Stream.close. Yeah.
And then we're actually going to tell the UI that its status changed. I don't think we necessarily have to. Oh no, yes we do. Yeah, state has changed. Has changed, which is in Blazor how we tell the UI to update itself without refreshing the whole page. So we know that we're already going to go and upload to that function. We're already doing that, posting that file. The function's handling the whole, putting it in the storage account, and all it's going to return back is yay or nay.
Yep.
If it's an okay status result, then it'll give us the blob name back. But for now, we're not too fussed about that. We just want to see if it's successful or not. Before we do that, though, let's go and make it so that we can run the whole app all in one go.
Yeah.
This is something we did for the Git Watcher as well. So
it is, yeah.
This is a clever trick.
So in our launch.json, we can add something called compounds, which I think comes after this square bracket here, and do compounds. There we go. And our compound is going to be run all the things. Let's keep it Christmassy. Let's go dashing through the snow.
Very good.
And
then you're going to run both configurations.
We go jingle the bells.
You're going to confuse us.
Yeah, we are not
So
going to know what happens.
We're going to come back to this. We're going to come back.
We are going to come back to this.
Yeah, which one of those meant what?
Can you just jingle the bells? What do you mean? What do you mean? Can I just jingle the bells?
And that is exactly why it's called that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to go to this name, and we're going to do. Sorry, we've got no. I've got it wrong. Hold on.
You just need to put the name of the.
You put the names of the things. So I want to jingle the bells.
And low ho ho ho.
That needs a better name.
Do you think?
Yeah, but I can't remember any other Christmas-related things off the top of my head other than low ho ho thing right now.
Deck the halls.
Deck the halls. There we go. Deck the halls. Because it's the front end. Well done, Pete.
It's good on so many levels.
Jingle the bells, and we're going to deck the halls. I mean, it just sounds filthy, frankly.
But it can't be because this is a family show. This isn't After Dark. Talking of which, at the Tech Nottingham community party, there was a chap wearing a non-PC jumper that was a play on Dashing Through the Snow. If you were there at that party, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to describe what the jumper had on it, but it was quite funny.
Get configuration. You cannot read properly. Get configuration undefined. So I have done something wrong here because we got distracted by coming up with Christmas names. Configurations we've got in there. Oh yeah, I don't need brackets. That's why.
Yes. That's why it's an array.
Makes sense.
And then let's dash through the.
Every time you build, I think your PC slows down and
Yeah.
it causes your audio to.
Can't build and speak at the same time.
No. I found that page where you got that loading screen from, by the way. So yeah, we can make sure we attribute that correctly.
Cool, thank you. We've got a slight problem at the moment though. Tried binding the Microsoft Windows.azure.blob.icloud blah, 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 blah. But
So I added that package to Microsoft.azure.storage.blob, and I made a reference in the using to using Microsoft.azure.storage.blob at the bottom. Is there anything above that? That's the 8th output there. What happens if you scroll a bit up in terminal? What is it trying to bind to? Upload letter. Cannot bind blob to cloud blob container. Have I made a typo with that? Unless it's that connection string, but it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. So we've got Santa Mailroom storage, cloud blob container, output container, doing letters. No, that should be everything. Is it the can't be the output, can it? No, that'd be fine. Was it working before when it said the other connection string? I guess we haven't tried it, have we?
We haven't tried it since. The function upload letter failed indexing and will be disabled. The error indexing method cannot bind blob to cloud blob storage container. Possible causes, and then it's just going through a load of things that it's trying to load and failing to find.
No, it's not because of that CS proj issue that we had earlier, was it?
You mean where it added itself many times? Do you want to try doing the add package again, just in case?
Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go into the API, right?
Yep.
Oh no, that's so CD API, and then let's do .NET. Is it remove package?
I think it is. Yeah.
Remove package.
Yeah. Microsoft.azure.storage.blob.
Microsoft Azure. What? Sorry.
Storage.blob.
Blob.
You're going to need to use the correct capitalization as well, wouldn't you think? Oh, maybe not. Oh, interesting. I'm sure you had to use that before.
I don't know if you can see what's happening with the.
Yeah, what is going on there? It's added an extra one in my view.
Yeah, rather than removed it. That's the same in Liam's view as well.
So I'm going to take all of these out.
Yeah.
By hand there as well, and I'm going to save it.
Oh, what?
Save because the content is okay.
Yeah, okay.
That.
Oh, now we've got 2 storages.
What is going on?
No, Cortana, go away.
You don't need to get involved, Cortana. It's not your problem.
Wind your neck in. So I'm going to leave that package. I'm going to leave that CS project file closed.
Yeah, good idea.
.NET add package.
I'm going to close it on mine as well because
Microsoft. I don't save. I see, opened it again.
It says don't save.
I'm going to close them all on mine.
I'm going to close everything on mine as well.
That's your storage. Blob.
Just in case live share is doing something.
I am going to jingle the bells.
What's that mean?
Oh, it's not got tired already. It's good. It's still got a novelty.
The bells are in fact jingling.
Are they though? No, they're not.
No. Something's jingling.
Something is jingling.
The red text is jingling.
Well, that's interesting, to say the very least. Tell you what, let me close all of that. Let me restart VS Code.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's we have to do.
All right, we can just watch him do the last bit. This is literally the last hurdle, so let's.
So we've got
live share.
our bits and bobs. Let's check to see what's going on in API TS project
now that you've not got us connected.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Might be better.
I'm going to re-attempt to jingle the bells. That was very nearly. That was.
Yep. Oh, they are ball shaped. Well, they're not really.
Oh, okay, that's correct. There we go. Let me start that. Where is my other blob service? That can go away. Kubernetes, that can go away. Where is everything?
It's behind you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the other edge. You're right.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
Let me hide.
Oh, I'm going to miss not going to Panto this year.
The kids at my school are going to get a virtual one. There's a company that streams them.
Cool.
So that is pretty cool, yeah.
I'm a big fan of pantomime.
Not been for years. I don't think I've been since I was a kid.
Having kids means you go to them.
Doing the same thing.
So, all right, let's have a look. What's a do you want to give us a live share link and let us get back in again? Let's fix the problem. It's the last one, isn't it? So let's fix that.
It's coming. There you go. It is on its way in Slack.
It is indeed.
Click
Thank you very
the link.
much.
Opening it now. So I can close that window.
This will teach us for trying to do two things at once.
How dare we try and be efficient?
Yes, absolutely. So our issue is with the upload letter.cs function there, and it's complaining that it can't bind the blob.
Particularly,
what might be a good idea. So let's push this back, and I guess Jonathan, if you pull it down locally and see if you can jingle the bells.
Oh, man.
Will it automatically create the necessary storage bits and bobs, or do you have to create those manually? The folders.
If you've got the storage emulator, yeah, it should create everything you needed.
Yeah, let me just try. But you carry on trying your end while I do my end, because it might take me a second.
It's a family show.
Yep. Santa's Mailroom. It's a good point to remind everyone that github.com/Azureish live/Santa's Mailroom.
Please enjoy the commit message that I've just sent to you as well, Jonathan. And he's now at the bottom of the screen for everybody else. It doesn't fit on the bottom of the screen. I'm gutted.
Oh, the bells, they do not jingle.
Disappointing.
You're not wrong. They do not.
The bells, they do not. I mean, it's the same energy.
Right, so let me just open a new window and clone this because I don't have it locally.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's complaining that Cloud Blob Container class, which is part of the namespace Microsoft.Azure.Storage.blob, is not there. But what's curious about that is the fact that the package in the documentation that I'm reading is version 11.1, whereas the one we're getting from NuGet is newer than that.
Yes, that doesn't.
So unless we want to try and fix it to 11.1.
Oh, maybe that's what we need to. Maybe 11.2.2 is a .NET 5 one that doesn't like .NET Core.
Well, we're not. We're .NET 5, aren't we? You didn't specify .NET Core.
Not for the function app.
Oh, yes. Well, in which case that is entirely possible.
Let's try that while I'm cloning locally.
And what package was that?
Interestingly,
11.1.
I'm not sure that's the correct package.
Are you not?
Well, when I double check what we did in the old proof of concept of researching, we don't use that package at all.
No, see,
in fact, we use very different ones.
Yeah.
We have so if we do .NET
Is it
Ooh,
azure.storage.blobs? That's
package
how
it
it
is.
azure.storage.blob.
Azure.storage.blobs, and we have
Yeah.
a much newer web jobs extensions.storage.
Yeah, 4.0.3.
So if we,
Oh, do you know what? I remember adding that at one point last night because, yeah, that's probably what it is.
no, hang on, that's not remove package. Wait, what was the package we were trying to remove?
We tried to remove Microsoft Docs.
Oh, hold on. I know what the problem is. I'm trying to remove it from the root directory.
It was telling you exactly what you were doing there too.
Yeah, and you know what happens? It's really useful if you read the errors. So we're going to do .NET add package, and that package that we're going to add is a new. Well, sorry, no, we don't need to do that. We need to update our Azure Web Jobs extensions.storage, I think. I haven't done this through the command line before, I don't think. So is it not .NET update package? Maybe.
Don't ask me.
Or give me some reassuring noises.
You what? Sorry, are you talking to me?
Anybody?
I was checking Twitter.
Is it upgrade package? Or do we just do another install?
Just do another
yeah,
install.
just remove it, and then there's I forget how you. What is it? How do you do it?
There we go. That's updated. We just do another add apparently.
Yeah.
So let's try once again to jingle the bells.
Yes, please, sir. So what's that package that we managed to add there? How did that happen? What's the learning that we can take from that? Why did that happen?
We just got over eager, I think.
Did we just added the wrong package essentially?
Look at
that. We have a post.
How that works. The bells, they jingle.
That's good.
Right. Okay. Well, let's dash through the snow.
So while I was off doing something else, which package did you add the Azure.storage.blobs?
I did not. What I did was I upgraded.
Oh man.
So here we are with. There you go. Look, you can see it running.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Right. Let's
choose a file.
Make it so.
Going to choose a.
Up a bit. Yeah.
I'm going to use
that
one. Yeah. Things should occur. Oh, hold on. Wait.
Oh, yes.
Course.
This is a good learning.
Of course, as always.
Of course.
Dear me.
Of course.
Stop it. It's late enough that I just want to drink the cause, actually. Well, not really cause, but you know what I mean.
Cause.
Slightly funny flavoured water.
Says the energy drinking.
I've seen that bottle of Coca-Cola you've been
when I drink
of.
alcohol, I drink proper alcohol.
Malibu.
Okay, so what do we need to do? It's a I've got an example to hand, knocking around in a local settings.json.
I've got to close my terminal again and reopen it because I've gone to teletext mode again.
Teletext mode.
Bring back teletext.
So we're going to tell the host, just because we're running locally, that I just want it all to be open. There we go.
Yep.
Once more unto the breach.
Dash through that snow.
Come on, Santa. Where is he?
There's Santa. He's very cute.
Okay, so that's there. Task for the host and the function app is starting. There we are.
I like the fact the call stack uses the names that we've given the configurations as well.
It does, yeah. So let's upload this file. I can see things happening in the background. Extract text was successful. So there we've actually posted a file to that upload letter. Now, what will happen automatically is because we're uploading into the letters thing, is it will there you go. It's just come back. It'll automatically then trigger
Woohoo!
extract text, which is calling off to cognitive services, reading the text out, and then giving us back our JSON. And that's gone and read that letter.
Excellent.
Out.
Well done.
Look at that.
So I guess the only real thing to do now is to display it on a screen. But what we won't do on the show is build it, but we will show you one that we made earlier.
Yes.
Because it's nice and
would-
easy.
It is nice and easy, because what we're basically doing is, as Pete was questioning earlier, what we can do is just iterate over the blob storage by creating a blob storage client that then just goes and get blobs, and then for each blob item we can download that into a stream, which we can then parse with JSON, and then take out from that JSON the bits that we want. So in other words, we can iterate on each line and each word, because as we saw in the prettified version of the JSON that came back from cognitive services, that we have both the detail at the line level, but then also the individual words. And at the moment, we can suffice with you could just suffice with the text that comes out at each line, but obviously what you don't then get is the confidence level of each word. And so what we thought might be interesting as a proof of concept is that any words that are lower than 0.8 or 80% accuracy, we could actually mark to the reader of this as being potentially something that they want to just double check the physical copy of the letter to understand what the child might have meant, so that they don't get a Lego or whatever the misreading of your sample letter
Leop,
was.
whatever Leop is.
A Leop. And so what we do is we basically iterate through each word and look at the confidence letter to say, yeah, there we go. So here there's the example. So from the top, we basically are going to the environment variable on line 27 to go and get the blob service client. So this is, instead of it being bound to the function, because we're not triggering or using an input binding at the top, we're actually making an active connection to a blob service. Then we go and ask the container client to get the blobs, and then just do a for each around the blobs, and then download each item. Now, obviously, at the moment, we've only got 2 letters in our blob storage, but it would just keep going. The JSON text reader pulls that out, and then the nested for each is then looking at the read results, and then the lines and the words, and then there's a simple if else that is looking for if the confidence is over. Liam pointed out to me last night that line 51 is completely redundant, and it is totally redundant. I created an is confident variable that then I didn't use. So therefore what we can do is then just say we'll put an emphasis tag around the letter text that might want, so that when we render it back out into the front end, we at least get some highlighting that helps us understand. That's a trick that was inspired by Elasticsearch, which does something similar.
So
yeah,
shall we give it a run?
And then in the front end, do you want to just
that's probably worth pointing out actually on the front end?
Yeah, I was going to say quickly go into the front end, because what we also did is on the page load, there's the bit that Pete wrote, which was to bind to the file event. We've also added here an on initialize async, which is also clearing the input box, but that's just a bit of JavaScript nicety to get rid of the file input. But the letters response here is actually going and asking that function's endpoint to get us the letters, and then we load that into a underscore letter summaries object that we then display on the page.
So the thing to also point out here is that with the Java the JS object reference, the JS runtime, so what we're doing is we're using the JavaScript interoperability, even if I can say it, to actually just go and invoke a JavaScript function from C# as well, which it's not doing much. It's literally clearing a text box, but we're going out to this sort of isolated runtime and invoking a JavaScript function.
So we can't jingle the bells, but we can run all the things, can't we?
We can run all the things here. We can all it all. So let's run all. You see that I haven't gone and changed the say you.
Horrible build problems for your mic again.
Hopefully it's okay on his local recording for when we upload it to YouTube, but you never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. So there's the functions running in the
There's
background.
those. There is our WebAssembly app running. So let's go to here. We put it in a completely different place. So there we go. That's that running. We're already pulling stuff out as well from within the storage account. We also added a nice little thing to tell us what the weather is on the North Pole right now as well. It is a balmy minus 21.05 degrees Celsius.
Still shorts weather. Still shorts weather.
Still shorts weather. You can wear your pajama bottoms, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And we have some uploads that we've got in the storage account already that we've already read through as well.
There we
So
go.
some examples, and as you can see, we have just left them at that size.
That's mega. That's mega.
Let's put your
let's
put your
let's have
example in, because then we can show it's working end to end. So
there's our success. So what we aren't doing at the moment, we aren't updating this list on the fly.
So we're not polling for any new things. So we're going to give it a good 10 seconds odd for cognitive services to do it, and then if we refresh this page again now.
I don't know what order it's in.
I think it's probably.
there we go. There it is.
There it is.
In any old order. So this is why we need to work out what we're doing with CSS. But there it is. There's that text.
And you see what I've done with the italicization. So if that's a word.
Excellent. That's so good. That is awesome.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of it. What we'll do is we'll make these. I guess we could probably make both our research and what we built in the show open to everybody.
Yep.
So if you want to go away and fiddle with those, you can do. Oh my Stream Deck's gone to sleep. That's interesting. But yeah, that's kind of it, folks. Really, what we've managed to achieve there is we are uploading through a UI that's going off to a function app, which is storing that upload in a storage account. From there, we're using a blob trigger to then go and make an API call out to cognitive services and computer vision to decode essentially the handwriting on the children's letters. We're storing that output as JSON again in like a processed container in the storage account, and then we're reading that out and loading it out onto the screen and highlighting the bits where we aren't 100% confident, or I think we were saying if it's less than 80% or 0.8 confidence, we're then highlighting the things we're not entirely sure on, and we're doing that on a per word basis. And then you've just seen, we've got a very noddy example of displaying that back as well to Mr. Claus. I think for now
we were also using the serverless hosting of the functions in there.
Yes, everything's completely serverless. We've not had to do anything. If anything, the most expensive part will be when we're running probably the function that takes a little while to come back and cognitive services. But other than that, we've essentially done some cognitive services stuff for what I think, like when I've had a longer running version of this as well, especially as we've been deving stuff. I think I've spent in the last couple of weeks £4-5 as we've been throwing quite a bit at it. So that's really, really cool. And when it's not running, it's not costing us anything. So that's some really great stuff there. I guess from us, that's also kind of the last show of 2020. We will be back in the new year with a new project as well. But for now, from us to you, have a very good Christmas and an incredibly fantastic new year. And we will see you in 2021. If I can find the button to end the recording. There we go.